Hi there, Jen Roque here at stampcampwithjen.com. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Summerfield, Florida, and thank you so much for joining me for my weekly Facebook Live. If you're new here, welcome. I go live every Monday at 7 p.m. on the Eastern Time, East Coast Time. And thank you so much for joining me today. If you haven't yet, please like and follow me on Facebook so you get a notification whenever I go live. And sign up for my newsletter, and every Friday you'll get a newsletter email from me first thing in the morning with great tips and news from Stampin' Up! And little personal things that I have going on my Stampin' Up! Business as well. So, and then once a month I send my newsletter subscribers a free project with a free project tutorial with all the instructions and the complete supply list. So if you haven't yet, go ahead and head over to stampcampwithjen.com and sign up for my newsletter so you get those monthly tutorials and weekly news updates. There's a lot of great stuff coming up. So it's officially November. Can you believe it? It feels like September flew by, October kind of slowed down a little bit, but I know now that we're in November, it's really gonna just fly by, and before you know it, it'll be Christmas and New Year's. But I love November because my anniversary is in November. Being a military veteran, Veterans Day is very special to me, and that's soon after my anniversary, and then 2 weeks later is Thanksgiving, and then we jump right into Christmas. So I really love this time of the year. And then Halloween was last night. We had a lot of fun. My son, he's 10, and we actually let him watch that new Halloween Kills movie that just came out, and he decided he wanted to be Michael Myers for Halloween. So I got him a costume from Party City. It had the brown jumpsuit and like a full mask that went over his head, and it really looked pretty freaky. It actually scared some little kids when we were out. They looked at him with like really wide eyes, and all the adults were like, "That's the best costume of the night, I love it." So it was pretty fun. So as you're joining me, say hello, let me know where you're joining me from. I'll kind of keep going through my intro stuff before we get started. Let a couple other people join in. What did you guys do for Halloween? Did you stay home and pass out candy? Were you able to get together with the grandkids or kids and go trick-or-treating? Or are your kids too old to go trick-or-treating and you have some other cool tradition that you do now? We told my son, because he's in 5th grade, so we said, this is the last year you're going to be able to go trick-or-treating. You're going to be in middle school next year. Trick-or-treating's for babies, so you're not going to be able to go. And at first he was kind of like fighting it the whole time, and then eventually we said, okay, maybe we'll let you go next year, but we have to go with you. And now he's kind of over it. Like, he doesn't even really want to go trick-or-treating. He just wants to go out and like scare people next year, he said. So I was like, I'm sure we can come up with something that'll work for everyone. But all right, so with November, if you didn't see it yet today, I posted on Facebook and my blog, I posted the host code for November and the free gift. So anytime, well, not anytime, but for one order in November, I only give out one free gift per person per month. But if you place an order of at least $50 before shipping and tax, then you'll get the Bumblebee trinkets for free. So if your order is at least $50, before shipping and tax, make sure to use that host code. If your order is over $150 before shipping and tax, then don't use the host code. Just enjoy your Stampin' Rewards that you're going to get, and I'll still send you a free gift. So you think Halloween should be done away with soon? No, I love Halloween. Hi, Kay. Thank you for joining me. I do understand it is kind of a weird time with COVID, but honestly, I didn't think it was that bad last night. People weren't really too crowded. We were outside. So I felt okay walking around. I even brought my mask with me just in case I felt like I was going to be on top of people, but I really wasn't very close to anybody at all. So, and then my son had his Halloween mask over him. So yeah, I do like the trick-or-treating. It was lots of fun. It was funny actually, because there was a house that we went to. They actually had little like plastic cups that you can put the lid over, and they had made little shots for the grown-ups that they were like little cookie dough shots with moonshine and rum in them that they were handing out. That was a little interesting, but my father-in-law loved them. I think that's the first time we've ever gone trick-or-treating and somebody's given us little like shots. It's kind of interesting, but hey, whatever. It's fun, you know. Okay. So the free gift this month, like I said, is a Bumblebee trinket. So if your order is under $150 before shipping and tax, but it's at least $50, use that host code so you can get your free gift. And then if it's over $150 before shipping and tax, don't use the host code, use the Stampin' Rewards to get your free stuff, and you'll get the free gift too. And then I have some little inside tip. A little birdie told me there's going to be a seasonal sale with Stampin' Up! This month. I have it written on my little board, that's why I keep looking up. The 16th through the 18th of November, they said there's going to be a seasonal sale with Stampin' Up!, but they haven't given us any details yet. But the 16th through the 18th is all I know, so keep those dates in your mind. That's another good reason to make sure you're signed up for my newsletter, because as I get that information, I will be sure to put it in my newsletter and pass it out to everybody so that you guys are prepared as much as possible. I try not to send out my newsletter more than once a week, so if I get the details before Friday, I will post them on Facebook and my blog, so be sure you're checking one of those as well throughout the week if you can't wait until Friday. Hopefully it's something good. I would love free shipping. That's always a good one, or a discount, like a big discount on something. I don't know what they're going to do, but it's that time of the year where they're going to start discounting stuff. And in the middle of the month, I should be getting the list for the last chance products that are retiring from the July through December catalog. So I will be sure to share those with you guys as well as soon as I can. So all right, enough of the admin and the news and everything, but if you are joining me just now or within the last like 30 seconds or so, I will have the replay either tomorrow or Wednesday on my YouTube channel and my blog, and you can go back and watch it on Facebook too, obviously, but be sure to keep those dates in mind, write them down, and like I said, check your newsletter Friday. I don't know if they'll give us the information this week, but I would imagine by next week I'll probably have more details on what exactly that seasonal sale is going to be. So, all right, well, let me go ahead and turn my camera around so I can show you this cute project. I have a craft fair this week that I'm getting ready for. Let me figure out how to switch it here. There we go. I have a craft fair that I'm getting ready for. So I am in craft fair mode, and I came up with something kind of fall themed. So it's a little hot cocoa pouch. This is one I saw Erica Cerwin from the Pink Buckaroo. I have to give her credit. She made one just like this last year with the little witches. I think there was a set that had like a witch and a cherub and all that, and she made it like this. So I took her project and I just redesigned it with current product. And oh, hi, Lisa. Thanks for joining me from Wisconsin. I bet it's really cold there. It's cold here. I was in a sweatshirt. I'm wearing jeans. I turned my air conditioner off. My husband and I go back and forth on the constant battle with the temperature in the house. And I always run cold, so I turned the air off during the day while he's at work because I was freezing in a sweatshirt today. It's only like 70 degrees, but I've acclimated to the Florida weather. So anyway, so like I said, this is something I saw Erica Cerwin do, and I just took her measurements and then redesigned it for my craft fair. And I got these hot cocoa pouches from Target. My husband works at Target, and I love Target anyway, but it's even better that I get the employee discount from him, and so I buy stuff at Target all the time. And I think she used the Target hot cocoa mix pouches in her project as well. So, oh, thanks, Sue. I just got my nails done. I love this little ombre effect. I thought it would be cool for Halloween into fall. So this is actually the color of the acrylic. I was surprised. I put black acrylic and then the pink and did it over like that to make the ombre. It was really cool. I'm going to be curious how I think they're going to have to completely take them off and redo them the next time I go though. So we'll see. I haven't had them in a long time, so it's going to feel really weird. Especially crafting is very strange. But anyway, so back to this. So you get 8 packs. I think these are $4.99 a box. So try to get them when they're on sale if you can, or like if there's a Target Circle coupon or something. But I really liked the sea salt caramel. I thought the orange was good for a fall, like a fall project. And since my craft fair is this weekend, oh, thank you so much, Carol. And yes, Lisa, it would taste good with the cold weather. Kay, that's so funny. Where in Florida does your daughter live? She's probably right with me. It was 49 degrees when I checked the weather when I woke up this morning. I was shocked. And I took my son to school and the car said it was 54, I think, is as warm as it got. So it's a little chilly down here. Tarpon Springs. Ooh, I don't think that's too far from here. Okay. So yes, so sea salt caramel, hot cocoa, but I liked the orange and the brown for fall. So I thought this would be perfect for a little fall project for my craft fair. Since it's in November, I will have a Christmas one too. I'm probably going to do one with the gingerbread sweet with they have the peppermint paper, and I ordered some little freeze-dried mini marshmallows from Target that I'm going to put in these little tubes as well. So on my blog post, I will put a link, and I'll try to remember to do it for my YouTube description in the description below my video as well. Erica Cerwin, she had a link for these tubes that you can get from Amazon. These, I actually have the old retired ones that Stampin' Up! Had a while ago. I bought a bunch of them before they retired, and I'm still going through them. I have like 2 boxes left, and I'm finally going to be done with them. So, a hoodie over your shorts. Yep, it's definitely fall weather. And then I just wanted to show you real quick how I package these up. So I have these little bags that I got from Clear Bags. They're actually 6x6 and they have an opening here. And I just folded the opening and put some Scotch tape on the back of it. And then I have my little label that I always put on everything that I sell at craft fairs as well. And honestly, I know a lot of people will get a stamp and stamp something on the back, but I'm always worried that I'm going to stamp it and then mess it up somehow. And I feel like this way with the white, it really like pops and makes it draw the customer's eye to your information. So I have a big box of labels. I just print a bunch of these out on a sheet and I just label everything as I'm packaging it up. So that's what I do. You could definitely get a cute little stamp. I think a stamp would be good, but I'm always just worried that I'm just going to smudge it somehow. So that was my solution to that. So, but I'll put a link to the hot cocoa packs, the test tubes that Erica recommends from Amazon, and these little bags as well. That way, if you're doing a craft show, you can look for those bags. But and then this test tube has little caramel bits that you get in the little bag. Let's see if I have them down here. I think I put them away. But it's just the craft caramel bits that are unwrapped. You get a big bag of them for like $2 or something. The craft fair is in Lakeland, so if you live in Summerfield, it's about an hour and 15 minutes away. It's actually a retirement community that's usually gated, but I was told for the craft fair, they're actually going to let the public in so that they can get more customers for the craft fair. So I'll have it in the newsletter on Friday, so if you're looking to go, the address is in there, or if you get my weekly newsletters, you can look at an old one. It's been in there for a while. So, all right, so let me show you. So the stamp set we're using today is this Joyful Life stamp set. It's so cute, from the July through December 2021 mini catalog. When I saw this little pig, I knew I wanted to make a hot cocoa pouch with it, because this little cute little cup, he looks like a little Harry Potter pig with his glasses and a scarf. He's just so cute. So this is on page 63 of the July through December catalog. 63, can you see that right there? No glare, 63. Okay, and then let me get all my little tools here. have everything pretty much ready to go. So the folder we're using is this Macrame 3D embossing folder. It's really cool. It looks like those like weaved wall hangings or something like that. It's pretty cool. So that's what I used on the cinnamon cider background here. And I'll show you that in a second. And then we are gonna do a little bit of die cutting as well and some coloring. So, all right, so I am taking my favorite color for fall currently is Rich Razzleberry. And I'm gonna grab my paper trimmer. And I didn't trim this yet because I wanted to show you how I cut it down so that it makes sense with a piece of paper. So on the 8.5 inch side at the top here, we're gonna go over to 5.5, okay? And we're gonna cut. And then we're gonna rotate it, so we're at the landscape, and we're gonna go to 10.25 and cut. So it's kind of a strange measurement. You can't get more than one out of a sheet of paper, unfortunately, but you really do need to be careful because if you try to cut on the 8.5 inch side, or if you try to cut on the 11 inch side first, then when you turn it, that 8.5 inch side isn't gonna be wide enough. So you have to do the 5.5 inch cut on the 8.5 inch side, if that makes sense. All right, so now I'm gonna bring in my scoring, my Simply Scored, and I already took the little arrows that come with it and I marked them. So we're gonna score at 4.25, 4 7/8, and 5.5, okay? And I'm just taking the little scoring tool that comes with, and I'm using the smaller end here and scoring at 4.25, 4 7/8. And you just need even pressure and go straight down. I really like how well this thing scores. It really makes the score lines a lot more visible. And so now what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna fold it on that middle score line and butt that up against the edge of the Simply Scored. And we're gonna go over here to 2.25, and we're gonna mark just down to that horizontal score line there. So 2.25 and 3.25. And this is the little, oops, make sure I have it straight up and down there. And these are the little cut lines that we're gonna make to hold our test tube, okay? For either your caramel bits or your marshmallows. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and just cut this right now. So you'll see there's a score line here and a score line there. And the way we've marked it, we're just gonna cut to that horizontal score line. And this is the little hole that's gonna hold our test tube, okay? So I'm gonna take my bone folder and go ahead and burnish, or crease, however you wanna call it. I'm gonna fold it over and burnish, flip it back. I really burnish the heck out of this thing because I really wanna make sure that I have a good crease, okay? So if you're looking at it, so you have like a little mountain in the middle, we're gonna keep that middle one up, and I'm gonna fold these edge pieces inward. I'll try to do it so it makes sense here. There we go. So it looks like you have that little opening right there, okay? I'm gonna fold it back on itself. And there may be an easier way to do this. This is just how I do it to make sure that I get some really good creases. There's lots of folding, but that's okay. Okay, so you'll notice here, it looks like, oh no, we cut it wrong. No, you cut it exactly right, because this is actually gonna pop up and out, and it makes it exactly as long as it needs to be. And this part's gonna end up getting attached down. But first what we're gonna do, so if you're looking at these, this is a little bit narrower, and this is a little bit wider. So we're gonna take like if you had a card insert, a 4 by 5.25 inch piece of basic white, and I'm just gonna adhere it right in here. And this is where you can write a message to the recipient. So that's why I put it in there. So I'm just gonna get some regular seal here. Use whatever adhesive you like. I use seal. I've gotten pretty comfortable with it. I don't have too many problems. As long as you use even pressure and pull straight up, I really haven't had it like stick too much on itself, so. All right, so a little bit of a border. Okay, So part of the reason I did this first is so I can just take these little flaps and flip them over, and this is where we're going to put Seal Plus or tear and tape. You just want something nice and sturdy. And I'm going to take a little bit of seal and put it on these little flaps right here. And then I'm just going to fold them over and stick it onto this bigger section, okay? And so now, when I open this, that's where our little tube is going to go. So I'm going to take my little treat tube and it's going to slide snugly right in there. And then when you open it, that's where your little message is. Okay? All right, so we're going to take that out for now because we want it flat while we're decorating. Okay? So for now, I can put this to the side while we do our decorations. So first, let's take a piece of cinnamon cider. This piece is, let me measure real quick for you. It's 3.5 by 4 3/4, okay? And we're gonna get our embossing machine out, our Stamp and Cut emboss machine. And since this is a 3D folder, we're just gonna use, and it says right on the #1 plate here, that with 3D folders, we just need a #1 and a #4. So we're gonna put the #1 down. And first, I'm gonna put my paper in. So I just wanna point out real quick, if you've ever noticed on your embossing folders, you have this little line on the front. I like to actually use that as a guide to line up my paper inside the folder so that I make sure that the design is straight on my paper. So if you just kind of line it up against that line, and I'm going to keep my thumb in there and just kind of push it down to make sure the paper doesn't move. You can see it moved down a little bit, but it's even. So you can check it before you roll it through there. So I'm going to put that down, and then the gray plate is the #4 plate here. So I'm going to pull these out so they're level. I've noticed, especially with the mini embossing machine, if you don't put all the plates in the same position, you have a really hard time rolling the plates through. And I'll show you what I mean by that in just a second. And there's our macrame pattern. That's so cool. All right. So what I mean by having the plates lined up is having them like stacked on top of each other like that. If you have them off, like, so they're not, the edges aren't lined up, you can't really roll the plates through, I've noticed. So if you ever are having a hard time with it, that's probably what's going on, at least with the mini machine. I don't really notice it too much with this machine. So now we're gonna do just a die cut real quick with a stitch square. Let's see if I have a little piece here. Yep. All right, where did here we go. I'm always losing everything. All right, so we're just using our stitch squares. If you have these, we're gonna use 1, 2, 3, the 4th largest from the inside. So 1, 2, 3, and this is 4, okay? So we're just gonna put our white down, our basic white, and I'm gonna put that over. You can put washi tape if you want. It's really not gonna move once I put the plate down though, so we'll just die cut that. And I like this stitching just because it gives it a little bit something something on the edges. It's not just a boring piece of cut paper. I like the stitching. Stitching always makes everything look so refined. Okay, so we did that. Okay, so now we can put our machine away. That's really it for the embossing machine. Okay, I'll move all my plates and stuff over so I don't get everything all mixed up here. All right. There we go. Okay, so now I'm gonna take, so the raised edge is the front and the debossed or the inverted edge is the back side. So for this I am gonna use tear and tape because if you try to use Stamp and Seal Plus, I have noticed it will tear my paper and pull the paper up with the adhesive. So I don't like to use that on embossed paper. So I'm just going to use some Stamp and Seal because I really want that hold, especially for 3D projects. If you're going to sell something at a craft fair, you want to make sure your customer's not going to take it home and it's going to completely unravel on them or fall apart on them. So, and then anytime I put tear and tape on a piece of paper that it has a bunch of grooves in it, I always take my bone folder and rub that tear and tape into those grooves, and that just makes sure that you get, you get all that adhesive down in those grooves. All right, and then I always take my little spatula, especially now that I have these thick nails. This is a lifesaver. The little spatula piece on your Take Your Pick tool, you just use that to kind of push that paper backing up and then peel it right off. I teach that all the time at my stamp camp classes. Everybody loves these. I actually have at least one customer, I think of a few actually, that have more than one Take Your Pick tool because they keep one in their craft room and then they take one with them to like all their classes that they go to and their events and stuff. So they have a travel tool. That's what we'll call it. Which isn't a bad idea, honestly. There's so many good uses for this tool. I love it. Okay. So now we're going to put this is the pumpkin pie. So I really thought the cinnamon cider and the pumpkin pie matched really well on with the hot cocoa packets. Anytime I make some kind of treat holder, a lot of times I look at the packaging of the candy or the chocolate or whatever, and I try to go off of whatever the colors are on the packaging and kind of really design my project around the packaging colors. So that's how I do it. I don't know how everybody else does it, but to me that makes sense. So, all right, so I'm going to take a little bit of scrap paper here because what we're going to do is we're going to do some coloring with some Stampin' Blends. Not much. If you don't like coloring, don't worry. This is very, very simple. It's nothing crazy like with blending and shading. Don't worry about that. There's teensy tiny little blending and it's very easy. I'll show you how to do it. But as you can, it's kind of hard to even see my paper, but once I stamp and everything, you'll be able to see it. But whenever you color with Stampin' Blends, it bleeds through the paper. So you always want to have something like a piece of printer paper, scrap paper under whatever you're coloring so you don't mess up your work surface here, okay? So I've got the cute little Harry Potter piggy. I love this guy. So I'm going to take him and I'm going to stamp him in Memento ink. He just makes me smile. I hope they don't get rid of this one. I think it's so, so cute. Okay, so we're going to stamp over to the left because our sentiment's going to go on the right here. So I'm just going to line him up as best I can and stamp with even pressure. So cute. My dog, actually, he's a little on the chunky side, and I call him a piggy pup all the time because that's what my granddaughter called him. The first time she saw him, she said, "Oh, he's like a piggy pup." And so that kind of stuck. So every time he runs around the house, I call him that. I say, "Oh, come here, little piggy pup." I'm going to clean this off because I have some ink on my edges here, and I don't want to accidentally get those on my project. So I have a clean stamp here, and again we're using my favorite fall purple rich razzleberry, and I still got a bunch of ink around, so I'm gonna have to be careful. That's all right. And then you can see there's kind of like a little divot here, so that's why I put the sentiment towards the top, and I just thought it looked good that way too. So perfect. So like I said, the sentiment is in rich razzleberry, and then the pig is just in tuxedo black Memento ink, and then we're going to do a little bit of coloring. So I took first the light flirty flamingo. We're going to take the little bullet tip, and I'm actually, to make some rosy cheeks, I'm just going to put a couple little circles in his cheeks right there. Actually, I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit so you can see this coloring a little better. There we go. And then to make his ears, like the inside of his ears, pop a little bit too, I just am coloring with that light flirty flamingo, the inside of his ears. And that's it for the light flirty flamingo. And again, on my blog post, I will have all the colors listed and what color to use where. And then we need the light petal pink. And again, we want the bullet tip. And if you look at here, it shows you the thin line and the bullet tip and the thicker line in the brush tip. So we're going to use the thin bullet tip, and I like to use the thin bullet tip to do anything that's really fine and you have like little smaller sections, and then like this big section around his head, I'm going to use a little bullet tip to color just along the edges so that I can go in with the brush tip and kind of do it a little bit quicker without worrying about going outside the lines or messing anything up, just like this. And then before we do that, we're going to take the little tip and just go over those little rosy circles, and it'll blend into itself, and you won't even, it won't be so obvious once it dries. It'll just be like a little flush to his cheeks. But see, to me, that's just so much faster. And then we'll do the same thing down on his body, but with the bullet tip, we'll just use for his legs. So are any of you doing any craft fairs? I know Sue and Carol, if she's still on here, they're doing a craft fair next month, and they have some gorgeous projects that they've been working on. What's your favorite project to sell or that you'd like to see at craft shows? I'm always looking for ideas. I have a few that I think are going to be good sellers, but I'm always looking for new ideas as well. So if you have any good ideas, please let me know what you like to see. All right, so we're taking that brush tip we outlined with the bullet tip, and I'm just taking that brush tip in so I can kind of quickly color in his body there. There we go. And then I will take the dark petal pink, and I'm actually going to just go over the inside of his ears just a little bit more, just to kind of blend those colors together, just to make it match more of his body. Okay. And then we're going to take, which one's this one? Dark crumb cake, because we all know coffee cups, they have like that little brown coffee sleeve. So we're just going to color that little coffee sleeve. And then for a scarf, I'm making it match the colors of my project. So I'm going to use dark pumpkin pie and dark rich raspberry, which I know is retired. I'm sorry. If you don't have rich raspberry markers, I would suggest maybe using blackberry bliss. I think that might be a little bit closer if you really want to get that purple in there. Or you could just change it up and use a different color altogether. But so for this scarf, the big fat sections I'm coloring in the dark pumpkin pie, and then you'll notice there's like two little striped sections, the thinner sections, those are going to be the rich raspberry, and then we'll be done coloring, and that's really it. It takes a little bit of patience. I know I have a lot of friends who don't like to color, and that's fine, but I love it. I think it's very calming. I do notice after a while I have to kind of step away from it, especially if you color something that's kind of detailed like this. It feels like you're going to go cross-eyed after a while if you do a bunch of these at one time. So I like to do like a couple of them and then move on to something else so that my eyes don't get too strained, because this can definitely be very tedious. But I think it's worth it. I think these any colored projects like this, it really makes them pop when you have all the pretty colors that coordinate like that. All right. Okay, so that's all the coloring. So we're almost done. Really, that probably took the longest time, but that's okay. All right, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit now. And so we're just going to put this, it's about the width of our cinnamon cider piece here. So I'm just going to take some seal, the Stampin' Seal Plus actually, and I'm going to put a few lines of it right in the middle. And then I am just going to line it up so it's more towards the bottom and place that evenly on there. So cute. You could pop it up if you wanted to, but I didn't really see a need to. I liked it flat like that. Okay, so now we'll bring in our, well, I can move this paper now. We're done coloring. Okay. So now we're going to bring in our project. So on the back side of where our card. What is some of my bestsellers? Oh, that's a good question. My last craft fair, actually, my bestseller was cards, but I did the craft fair at the end of September, so I think that's why like my holiday stuff didn't do so well. I'm really hoping that with it being closer to Christmas, that a lot of my Christmas stuff will sell. I actually did a whole blog post about what I sold and how much, and put a lot of pictures in it, Kay. If you want to go back and check that at stampcampwithjen.com, just search craft fair, I think, and you'll see it from September of this year. And I put lots of details for where I got my card display and all that stuff. Yep, cards is very popular. I always have a big like display full of cards. So, all right, so where our little note is here on the back side of that, that's our front. I'm just going to make sure that's flat, and we're going to adhere that right to the front. It's got kind of a big border, but that's okay. And again, I'm going to use the Stampin' Seal Plus just to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere. And I always do a little diagonal in the middle just to make sure that nothing bubbles up in the center, especially with this Florida humidity. You never know with paper. So it's good to make sure you got all your bases covered as much as possible. All right, so there's the front. Now the last thing we have to do is put our little packet in here. So it's just gonna sit in there just like that. So I'm just gonna take, you're welcome, Kay. I'm gonna take 2 glue dots, and I'm just gonna flip it over on the back side, and I'm gonna take 1 glue dot towards the bottom, and then another glue dot where this little brown line is. That's about the center. And I chose glue dots just so when the recipient takes the hot cocoa pouch off, they don't completely destroy their little gift that they got from somebody. Oh, and this has caramel, toffee, and sea salt. Yum, doesn't that sound so good? All right, so that's done, except we got to put our little test tube in there, and that's it. How adorable is that? And you'll see our edges line up. There's a little bit of extra space, so you could maybe even double up the hot cocos if you wanted to. That would be kind of fun. But I'm just gonna do one. So, all right, guys. Well, I really hope that you like this project. Once I get my little mini marshmallows and make my Christmas one, I'll be sure to post pictures of that as well on my blog. But this is just so fun. You can write a little note and have your little hot cocoa with your caramel bits, and that little piggy is just too cute. Thank you, Kay. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I really, really hope you liked it. Don't forget, if you need any of the supplies for today's project, please shop with me, Jennifer Roque. And don't forget to use my host code to get those Bumblebee trinkets this month. I always send, I will send them out in mid-December with a cute little card, and I always include a little bit of candy in there as well. I'm so glad you liked it, Kay. Thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget, guys, if you're not a newsletter subscriber yet, please go to my blog and subscribe so that you get all those important Stampin' Up! Updates. As soon as I get the details for that seasonal sale, I'll be sure to either post it on my blog or put it in the newsletter, whichever one comes first. But it will definitely go in the newsletter, the following newsletter, once I get that as well. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and until next time, be safe and happy stamping. Bye-bye.